Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. So this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of July 28th through August 3rd. All right, all right, all right. So how are we doing on this lovely Monday evening? I cannot believe it's the end of July. I feel like we went from July 1st to July 28th in 2 seconds. Like, it was like that. As a matter of fact, I can't believe that we're more than halfway through the year. But I ain't complaining. Time is moving. We need to also. And this is going to be a week of a heavy emphasis on Venusian-like things. Of all the planets, I feel like Venus is the planet that is the major player and the star of the show this week. So when it comes to issues relating to money, finances, relationship, fairness, self-esteem, self-worth even, these are the topics and the issues that are going to be front of mind, and that the universe is going to help you work throughout the week, given the astrology that we have. All right. So it's not going to necessarily be a tough week by any means, although we're still in Mercury retrograde. So I don't know how y'all are feeling. Me personally, I feel like this is a very mild Mercury retrograde. On the other hand, I've heard people saying that this Mercury retrograde is dragging them. So it really depends on your own particular natal chart and how and where this retrograde is happening for you. Okay. Hello, Patricia Jean. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. So, like I said, Venus is the major player this week, and she's actually changing signs this week. So, we're going to feel an energy shift that's going to make us feel kind of warm, cozy, and perhaps craving a little softness. All right. So, before I get into the details of the week, of course, housekeeping and announcements. Of course, if you are watching this live, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Please say hi on your way in. And if you're saying hi, then let me know where Venus is in your natal chart. You can either tell me your Venus sign or whatever house Venus is in. All right. So do that as you come in. Also hit the like button as you come in as well. Hello, Raven. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you would be so kind, if you want to contribute to the channel by sending a super chat or a super sticker, that would be absolutely excellent. And I would definitely appreciate it. All right. And if you're watching this in the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Hopefully you get the enlightenment, illumination, confirmation, clarity that you are looking for. And if that is the case, please do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell if you can. And if you really like this content, then definitely consider leaving a super thanks. I would definitely appreciate it. All right. So in terms of announcements for this week, my books are open on Wednesday for natal chart readings, aka the starter chart. This is your quintessential natal chart reading. My books are open for Wednesday. And if you book for this Wednesday, you will get $25 credit towards a future purchase. Because trust me, you will be back. The one thing that I love about my clients, my customers, is that they are always repeat clients and customers. And so once they start with a natal chart, they love to graduate to some other things. So again, my books are open this Wednesday. Link is in the description box below, as well as tagged to this video. So get on that and get that $25 credit. Okay. And of course, we are in the midst of Leo season. And I don't know about you, but apart from Virgo season, which is my season, Scorpio season, which is one of my favorites, Leo season is also one of my favorites because it is just so bright. There's so much illumination. And I find that Leo season brings a lot of clarity. And it also gives you the opportunity to bolster your confidence, right? Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun shines regardless. And Leo season is always an opportunity for us to shine, for us to realize who we are, what's in our hearts, be unique, say it with our chest, and all that good stuff, right? And this particular Leo season, we've got Mercury retrograde happening there. So many of us are really dealing with identity issues, expression issues, creativity issues. And when I say issues, I don't mean issues as in something is wrong. It's just the universe is trying to get our attention when it comes to perhaps a lack of confidence, the inability to express ourselves as we need to, perhaps afraid to open our hearts. If I'm being completely transparent, that's my lesson during Leo season. This Leo season is about opening my heart, and honey, it is a challenge. And so one of the things that I use is the Leo key. Okay. And this is my seasonal digital product, which is a PDF, a Notion template, plus an audio file. So these three things together form the Leo key. And the Leo key unlocks confidence, a self-assuredness, and opening up our hearts. All right. So everything that this digital product entails helps you do that. So there's ritual information, there's an audio guided meditation, there are journal prompts, there's places to track your mood and your activities. Like, it is a full-fledged treasure trove of Leo themed things for you to not only get through the season, but use the energy of Leo to your advantage. And so, of course, Leo season, so the Leo key is available. If you're interested and want to know more, link is in the description box below, as well as tag to the video. What I do is I've been working with the audio guided meditation in terms of building my confidence and opening my heart. Heavy on the opening the heart part, because again, that's my lesson this season, but the audio file is definitely perfect for that. So again, if you're interested, link is in the description box below, as well as tag to this video. All right, my loves. So that's pretty much all I got for you today in terms of announcements and housekeeping. So now let's get into the week. So like I said, Venus, major player this week. She's not only making a move, but um she's making a very important aspect to two different planets at the same time. And so this is a week where Venus was just in Gemini, right? And Venus in Gemini is very social, very all over the place. Think of it like a bee that's like flying from flower to flower. So this could have been a very social time for you. This could have been a time where you're communicating a lot. And now we're going to be entering this phase of Venus in Cancer, and it's going to be this kind of retreat sort of energy. And rather than being social, Venus in Cancer really wants us to get close. It wants us to build bonds with people. It's very much kind of a one-to-one kind of relationship vibe. It's also very nurturing, and it has a lot to do with our basic emotional needs. So this is a shift that we are going to be feeling this week. Oh, you have Venus in Leo. Okay, that's a good one because you are going to be experiencing your Venus return fairly soon, at least within the next 2 months. And Venus in Leo is beautiful energy. It's so bright, it's so warm, it's so generous, and extremely heart-centered. So, love that for you. So, yeah, so we're going to feel this energy shift from this really gregarious, very communicative Venus to a much softer, a much more introverted Venus, right? We also have a very fortuitous transit this week. As a matter of fact, because I'm basically giving you everything all at once, let's start at the very beginning, okay? And let's talk about the theme for this week. And the theme for this week is soft heart, sharp truths, okay? And this is very much emblematic of Venus not only entering Cancer, but Venus also making aspect to the two planets at the same time this week, okay? So what do I mean by that? Venus in Cancer definitely wants some softness. She wants nurturing. And with Venus being the sign, I should say the planet of fairness, many people are going to be searching for the same softness that perhaps they give, right? Venus in Cancer is like, I nurture you, you nurture me. I water you, you water me, and we grow together. And it's a very intimate kind of bond that Venus in Cancer loves to facilitate or loves to forge, right? But at the same time that Venus wants this softness, she's also going to get a reality check this week, as she will be squaring Saturn and Neptune. So while there is going to be this infinite emphasis on softness, excuse me, and nurturing, there's also going to be this desire, perhaps, to start something new, but also getting a reality check in the process. So Venus is not going to get to be too comfortable this week, all right? She's going to start to wind down and start to get a little cozier, but at the same time, reality is kind of going to smack her in the face and really show you not only where you're at, like currently, like at present, okay, this is the reality of the situation, but also what it takes to get from point A to point B, right? Perhaps that maybe you are seeking more equality or equanimity within your relationships, right? Again, I water you, you water me, we grow together. And then maybe Venus square Saturn and Neptune may have you really feeling like, okay, but maybe the relationships I'm in, right, are anything but that. Maybe I'm watering this person and they're leaving me here to wither. Or maybe this person is smothering me with all of their emotions, right? Like there could be an imbalance there. And whatever imbalances do exist, Venus square Saturn and Neptune is really going to intensify that and bring that out. Okay. So the one thing I'll say first for you to do this week, break out your natal chart, and I want you to look at the houses. Clearly look at where Cancer is and also look at where Aries is. Okay, these are the areas of life that are going to be directly hit by Venus and the Venus square to Saturn and Neptune. But for more information, I want you to look at the houses in your natal chart that are ruled by Taurus and by Libra. Because of Venus's activity this week, the houses in your chart that are ruled by Taurus and Libra are also going to be affected. So let me give you a perfect example. Let's say that you are an Aries rising. So Saturn and Neptune are both in your first house, your house of self. They're both retrograde, by the way. And then Venus moving into Cancer is happening in your fourth house. So Venus in Cancer is really by itself going to focus on home, family, domestic affairs, perhaps the relationship with your mother, your grandmother, maternal figures, your ancestry, your lineage. There is this hunkering down literally at home or a focus on financial issues related to your home that Venus in Cancer is going to highlight. Then when Venus squares Saturn and Neptune, this is going to affect your identity. So perhaps this is bringing up issues related to whether you were sufficiently loved or nurtured and how that affects your personality or even your outlook on love, right? Maybe you want to get into a new relationship. But Venus in Cancer square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries is like, you want to start a new relationship, but the reality of the situation is that you've got abandonment issues, you've got trust issues that you need to work through in order to have this new relationship that you seek. Okay, so that's an example of how Venus in Cancer is working, plus the realness that she's going to be giving as well. But now let's take a look at the houses that are ruled by Taurus and Libra. So again, our example is you're an Aries rising. Taurus would be your second house of money and material possessions. So Venus in Cancer. And Venus in Cancer has a lot to do with our emotions and our basic emotional needs. And one of our basic emotional needs is shelter, right? Security. This is also going to be playing out for you as Venus is in Cancer because Venus rules your second house of money. The second house also rules your self-esteem and your self-worth. So Venus in Cancer may really have you digging deep in the crates when it comes to how you feel about yourself, how you value yourself, etc., and the emotions that go along with it. Thereafter, you're going to look at the house that's ruled by Libra. And as an Aries rising, Libra is your seventh house. So Venus in Cancer is also going to have an impact on your relationships because the seventh house is the house of relationships. Now, I know I'm going through this very quickly because this is my job essentially, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Your first house, your fourth house, your second house, and your seventh house are all going to be lit up and affected by Venus moving into Cancer, okay? And it's going to bring the emotions. It's going to bring issues related to basic emotional needs, which could be very sensitive and very touchy topics, okay? So I'm just forewarning you over the next month, if you're feeling the feels, definitely probably due to Venus in Cancer. Okay. So that's essentially the theme. Again, it's this softness with, juxtapose this realness, right? So soft heart, sharp truth. So be ready for both sides. All right, so that's the theme. So now let's get into the transits that we're actually experiencing this week. And of course, we begin with what I've been talking about, Venus entering Cancer. Okay, so expect the waterworks, expect all the feels, expect, again, I cannot stress this enough, issues related to your basic emotional needs. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? I mean, feeling safe, secure, loved, accepted, right? The things that you are supposed to be given as a child, right? That you're supposed to be given in early childhood to give you an emotional foundation upon which you build and then move into the world, right? That's what I mean by basic emotional needs. And anytime we have a significant Cancer transit, we just experienced this with the Sun in Cancer. Now we're about to experience this with Venus in Cancer, right? This paying attention to what we received or what we didn't receive. Are we loved? Are we accepted? Are we secure? This is why Cancer season tends to be quite emotional because it deals with the very foundation of our emotions. Okay, so again, expect the waterworks. And speaking of which, it's gonna feel perhaps like a a huge wave of emotions, even because we're talking about relationships, we're talking about love, we're talking about money. These are the things that people typically get very emotional about. Whether you have them or you don't, the emotions typically flow with these things. And understanding what you need to feel secure, to feel loved, and all of those things is also a part of this transit. All right. So, give yourself the space to feel whatever you are feeling. I feel like that is the best piece of advice I can give you for the next month. The worst thing to do would be to feel these things and to ignore them, to feel these things and stuff them under the rug or underneath the surface. Like you have to address these things because if you have a faulty foundation, you cannot build upon that. If you have a faulty foundation, eventually it's going to crack and it's going to crumble, right? And in terms of emotions and in terms of Venus in Cancer, relationships. Now, this isn't just romantic relationships. Venus in Cancer may have a lot to do with your relationship with your mother, your relationship with a mother figure. These can be really emotionally charged relationships and situations, right? Because either we have a great relationship with our mom and we have a strong emotional foundation. We may have a not so great relationship. Our mothers may have passed on. Like these are things that are going to be activated, right? But apart from that, even if we're talking about friendships or romantic relationships or anything like that, how fair are they emotionally speaking, right? You may have someone that spoils you, right? You get in the forever roses. This person bought you a car, doing all the things, but they don't hug you. They don't tell you that they love you. They don't make you feel emotionally safe. Is that the kind of relationship that you want to foster or that you want to continue? Now, some people will say, yeah, if I'm getting money, if I'm getting pampered and spoiled, why not? But eventually, you'll come to realize that an emotionally strong foundation is important. And I think that that's one of the main themes or the main things that Venus in Cancer wants to remind you. Okay. Even with friendships, are you someone who is always there for your friend? If your friend has an issue, are you always there on the phone? Are you always seeing them, taking care of them? Are they watering you as much as you are watering them? Venus in Cancer wants equitable relationships, emotionally speaking. So this is the vibe for the next month. Now, one of the things that you want to be mindful of is that Venus in Cancer also reminds you to lead with love and lead with emotions. Venus in Gemini was very logical. It was very rational even. And this is the stark emotional shift that we're going to start feeling this week because now Venus is like, oh, that logical shit, maybe it's not working for me right now. But right now, what I need to focus on is leading with love. However, don't get lost in the sauce either. This is not about losing yourself in it either. Certain boundaries have to be established. And I do think that is another sort of sub theme of Venus in Cancer. Emotional boundaries, because Venus loves fairness. And fairness may require certain boundaries. It may require a no. It may require a not now, right? So apart from just leading with your heart, you're going to want to set boundaries, whether those are hard or soft boundaries. I think that Venus in Cancer is not only going to remind you of that, but kind of push you to establish those things. Okay. So that is that. And then the second transit that's of importance this week is actually a nice one. It is the Sun conjunct Mercury, and this is known as a Mercury Cazimi. Mercury Cazimi happens, I want to say every like month to month and a half, and it's when the Sun and Mercury are conjunct. And this is a very fortuitous kind of transit. It's great for good news, bright ideas. As a matter of fact, it's going to feel like this.
Aha!
Hmm Bright ideas, particularly around love. I want you to pay attention to the hearts within that light bulb. Not Venus, the Sun and Mercury are both going to be in Leo. Okay.
Aha!
hmm so, we are going to be perhaps becoming enlightened in terms of heart-centered matters, relationships, being able to express ourselves. And this transit is actually happening on Thursday. So Thursday, I would put a gold star next to Thursday because I feel like this is the day when you could express yourself. This is a great day to be unique. It's a great day to be creative. And it's a great day for ideas. So, this is the one activity I would advise you to do on Thursday if you can, weather permitting. Okay. So, to the extent that you can, even if it's only 5 minutes, go outside and sit in the sun. You could sit in the sun and maybe listen to some meditative music, or my favorite, listen to nothing. Put your phone on do not disturb. I said that weird. Put your phone on do not disturb and just sit in the sun. And it's almost like allow not only the solar rays to warm you up and energize you, but allow the downloads to come through. That is how this energy is going to work on Thursday. So, this could give you a great new creative idea. This could, even if it's not giving you $1 million idea or anything like that, this could be a situation where you literally just rest your mind. You take a moment to not take life so seriously. You take a moment to just relax, bask in the sun, and it's in that state when you're relaxed and when you're not worried that ideas do come forth, right? And again, with that sun energizing you, you don't know what could appear, what could happen. I feel like it'd be a really great day, again, to just go outside and sit in the sun. Perhaps you, wherever you live, maybe it's not going to be sunny on Thursday. If not, still take some time to just relax. Again, put your phone on do not disturb, listen to some meditative music. If you can't get out in the sun, what I would do is I would put on a YouTube video of a solar plexus meditation. One of my favorite channels on YouTube is Meditative Mind. And if you visit them, again, it's Meditative Mind, you will see they have different meditations and different sound baths for the different chakras. Put on a solar plexus chakra meditation or video and vibe out to that for a little bit if you can't get out in the sun. But again, it's going to be a very fortuitous day, great ideas, great ability to express yourself. This could be a really good day to also have a heart to heart conversation with somebody. Maybe you want to mend a relationship. Maybe you want to extend an olive branch, even. I think that Thursday would be a great day for that, especially with Venus being in Cancer on Thursday as well. I mean, Venus will be moving into Cancer on Wednesday, but clearly she'll still be in Cancer on Thursday. There's going to be a softness. There's going to be a less rigid energy, less kind of energy, and more conducive to love and tenderness and nurturing. So if you need to have that conversation with someone, I would have it on Thursday. All right. But either way, it's a great day, fortuitous energy. Take advantage of it. And then finally, the last transit that you'll want to pay attention to this week is, like I mentioned before, Venus is going to be square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Okay, now Saturn and Neptune are like this right now. They're traveling through the sky together, arm in arm, wreaking havoc in the sign of Aries. And Venus is going to be square to them. And all that means is that Venus is going to be making a harsh aspect to them. Okay, and so it's not necessarily going to feel so good. As a matter of fact, it's going to feel like this a little bit. Not so good, a little brokenheartedness, a little realness, okay? But nothing you can't handle, okay? I promise. Again, this is one of those transits where Venus in Cancer is really concerned about basic emotional needs and fairness. And then Saturn and Neptune in Aries, they want to start something new. And with Venus square to them, this may be a desire to start something new that's financial, a desire to start something new that is relationship oriented, a desire to balance the scales in some area of life. Okay. But Saturn and Neptune is like, and they're both retrograde. Okay. So within the energy of this transit is probably going to be issues related to identity, authority, independence, being able to stand on your own 2 feet. So perfect example, let's say you are starting a business right now. Venus in Cancer would be like, okay, I need to feel good about this. I need to feel emotionally safe and secure. I need to feel like I have a roof over my head. Meanwhile, Saturn and Neptune in Aries is like, come on, let's do this. Let's start this. Let's go. But then that Venus in Cancer is like, I want to do this, but can I pay rent this month? How am I going to feel about this? Maybe I'm not feeling good. Maybe I'm not feeling like I can start a business right now. Maybe I'm feeling insecure, right? And then Saturn is also adding a twinge of fear, maybe, because Saturn's retrograde in Aries. So Saturn's like, yeah, I want to do this, but I don't know. This is kind of scary. Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be okay? And then Neptune is just showing you the real. Neptune is like, listen, the rose-colored glasses are off. You have no money in your bank account. You want to start this thing, but you also have to pay for this filing fee. You have to pay, you got to open this bank account. You got to, like, it's the real. You're seeing the real, and your emotions may not be on board with that. Okay. The best advice is to push through. Okay. Push through. And the other thing that I'll say about this is that as much as Venus in Cancer wants softness and security and to feel good, if you're trying to start something now, you may have to forego the softness at first. You may need to substitute softness for structure because that desire, aka Saturn and Neptune in Aries, it's going to be kind of strong. Yet Venus in Cancer would be like, I don't feel good about this. Blah, blah. Seek structure over softness with this particular transit. Okay. But I think one of the mitigating factors with this transit is that your intuition will be on point. Venus in Cancer is extremely intuitive. So even if your emotions are feeling one way, ebbing and flowing, and 1 minute you're good, the next minute you're scared, 1 minute you're feeling secure, the next minute you're not feeling secure, listen to your intuition. And I guarantee that your intuition will likely be guiding you toward a path of structure. Because that Saturn and Neptune energy in Aries, like I said, it wants to start something. Perhaps something really big. Perhaps something very ambitious. Perhaps something that's going to take a long time to develop. Okay? Which is no problem. But the one thing that this transit will teach you is that you can't build an empire off emotions alone. Venus in Cancer will want you to feel good, will want you to feel emotionally stable, and will want you to have a great emotional foundation. However, if your emotional foundation currently is kind of shaky, rather than focusing on that and rather than building on that, build on something stronger. And that would be structure, that would be systems. So, what would this look like in reality? Let's go back to the example I was giving before. You want to start a business. Now you're feeling a little scared, you're feeling apprehensive, your current funds aren't looking that great. Maybe you're feeling a little insecure, you don't know how you're going to pay your rent, you don't know anything right now. First of all, seek structure. Do some research, number one. And number two, whatever action steps you take, allow your intuition to guide you, number one. But number two, do things that will build a solid, practical foundation, right? In order to feel emotionally secure, right? Maybe you'll feel better if you have your finances in order. Get your business bank accounts in order. Get your tax situation in order. Maybe not feel good at the time, but taking a step that's practically secure and structured is going to help you build that emotionally strong foundation. Trust me. And I hope that didn't go over your head because it sounded fine in my head. I don't know if it came out clearly, but I think you understand what I mean. Again, empires are not built off emotion alone. You need structure, you need a plan. If you rely on your emotions, when you feel good, you'll do all the things. And when you don't, you won't. You won't do shit, right? So allow your emotions to fuel whatever structurally sound and practical action steps that you're going to take. Let's say that. And of course, allow your intuition to guide you. Okay. And try not to get too discouraged. Even though things may not seem the best right now, even though you may be experiencing a certain amount of heartache, heartbreak, maybe the real is too sobering for you, and maybe it's making you feel a kind of way. That's fine. This too shall pass. But do not allow this emotionally frustrating time to dictate anything new that you're starting. So that's the other thing. If you are indeed starting something at this time, make sure that your emotions are on board. Meaning, if you don't feel right about something, then don't start it. But if you are going to start something, make sure that you have the right emotional framework to do so. Okay, Venus in Cancer. Venus in Cancer will want that. And Venus in Cancer square Saturn and Neptune in Pisces will require it. Okay, so hopefully y'all understood that, and hopefully that made sense. The other thing I'll say about Venus square Saturn and Neptune is that there will be emotional friction in relationships and finances. And it doesn't mean that it'll be like that forever. This too shall pass. It doesn't mean that, you know how when you start something and something will inconvenience you or something will go wrong and then you just want to toss the whole thing. You're like, "Oh, maybe this wasn't meant for me," or "this is too hard." Like, you're going to have to push past the friction. Now, it may require certain conversations, it may require certain actions, but that friction, think of it as iron sharpening iron, okay? It's truly helpful if you allow it to be. Okay, so keep that in mind with not just that transit, but with the energy of the week. Okay, so that's it in terms of the astrology that you need to pay attention to this week. So now we've reached the portion of the broadcast where it is Q&A. So you guys get to ask me whatever you would like about either the energy for this week, astrology in general, but I will not be answering questions specific to your natal chart. All right. Again, my books are open on this Wednesday, July 30th for natal chart readings. So sign up. Link is in the description box below. But if you have questions, this is your time to ask. And of course, those who purchase a super chat or channel members will get priority. All right. In the meantime, while you're thinking about your questions or maybe just relaxing, I have a question for you. So the question this week is, where are you craving closeness but bumping into boundaries? This is going to be super important. Clearly, this has everything to do with Venus in Cancer. So like I said, Venus in Cancer wants closeness. She wants nurturing, but it's going to require boundaries. And perhaps maybe where you are seeking closeness, where you are seeking nurturing, you're being met with boundaries. It's going to be really important to understand why and what purpose are those boundaries, or is that boundary serving? Okay, so this is the question of the week. So screenshot this, pause this, write this down. This is what you're going to want to focus on not while, this week, especially as Venus goes into Cancer. So again, where are you craving closeness but bumping into boundaries? Okay, and it looks like we have a question. So let us see. How does Mercury being retrograde affect the Cazimi? Okay, this is an excellent question. Thank you so much for asking, Auntie Camilla. So This means that you could get good news from the past. This could be good news concerning a lover from the past. Good news not created, good news concerning like a creative project from the past. So essentially, Mercury retrograde and the Cazimi could just bring back something good from the past. So you're going to want to pay attention to wherever Leo is in your natal chart. This could let you know, like let's say you've got Leo in the 5th house. This could bring back a creative endeavor. This could have something to do with your kids or romantic relationship. Let's say you've got Leo as your 10th house. This could be a job that you interviewed for in the past, finally accepting you, or maybe a client from the past who you thought dropped off the face of the earth is now coming back and is ready to work with you and pay that invoice, right? Good news from the past resurfacing essentially. And it's going to have a flavor of confidence. It could be clarity, right? Because remember, this is happening in Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. So this could be an aha moment, right? This could be clarity, illumination on something in a good way. All right. So with Mercury Cazimi and Mercury being retrograde, this is all going to come by way of text message, email, phone call, any sort of communication, right? And again, this is going to be a great day to have a conversation, particularly with someone from the past or relating to a past situation. So, again, to answer your question, Mercury being retrograde just brings back good stuff from the past with this particular Cazimi. All right, so hopefully I answered your question. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in. If you do have a question and you're watching this on the replay, feel free to put it down in the comments. I will still answer it as well. All right, my loves, that's pretty much all I got for you for this week's weekly astro forecast. I sincerely appreciate you tuning in. Y'all could be doing anything else, but the fact that you are rocking with me means the world to me. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place, same great astrological information. All right, my loves, take care.